well-behaved woman is trim and proper. Chores, always done. Not a hair out of place. When the husband comes home, she greets him with a smile.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Are you tired of Hitler?
I feel no shame.
Okay, one liar as a kid can find another liar.
I want that stricken from the record.
How else is she gonna learn if she doesn't have a feather?
I could go fuck in the big house.
You're a mess, girl. I am here to audition for Babysitters Club extras.
I brought my own hammer. Hello and welcome to another episode of Well-Behaved Women. I am one of your hosts, Hannah, and I am here with our main host, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Each week, we dive into the life of a notable woman through history, good or bad, and I don't know who she is. And so Lauren is going to be surprising me today, and she says it is a doozy of a tale, a Khaleesi of a script.
People will know this one. As soon as I get started, people will know this one.
All right, I'm so ready. I can't wait
I'm really excited about this one.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right, well,
can I get do you want to get started on this year?
On this year in history. That's what I went with today.
That's fair. Hitler is declared Chancellor of Germany and quickly sets in motion a series of declarations that spit in the face of the fatherland's various treaties and truces.
Yeah, he loogied on it.
Big fat loogie.
Fat.
And then he atomic wedgied them right up the flagpole, you know?
Yeah.
The Postal Telegraph Company invents the singing telegram.
The singing telegram? Oh my God, like barbershop thing?
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hi.
We're here to tell
the
you
singing
that you're...
telegram.
Yeah. I was like saying, I was coming up like your grandma died, but I was like, well, that's too much. That's too much.
What's the one from Parks and Rec? So you had a divorce, of course.
Oh. I need to watch more Parks and Rec. That's what my friendship with you has taught me.
They bring a guy that's like, he's dressed up like a horse and he has balloons and he comes into Ron's office. So had a divorce, of course, and nobody wants a divorce, of course.
Oh my God, a divorce horse. That's amazing. Horse. That's good writing. That's exceptional writing.
Yes, it is. Michael Shore is a fucking amazing show creator.
Excellent. All right, next one.
Postal Telegraph Company invents the singing telegram. The Franklin D. Roosevelt is sworn in as the 32nd POTUS, declaring famously in his inauguration speech about the national good, or about the national mood of the Great Depression, quote, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself."
I'm a bad American if I don't know what year this is. Do we have more?
Yeah, we got one more.
Okay.
Paraguay declares war on Bolivia, resulting in a little-known but historically important war called the Chaco War. It was over the rumored oil reserves of the nation.
Okay, so the things that are sticking out to me is obviously Hitler and being chancellor, and then FDR swearing in. That really should be the thing that tells me what year it is. So I have a very slim margin of error here. The Great Depression was in the 30s, 29 to, was it to the end of the 30s? No. Oh God, I'm gonna fumble this so bad.
No, I'm trying, like, you're getting better at these now that we're like, as we go on in the episodes and I try to give more historical context to like certain years, you're getting better at like narrowing it down.
Let's go. I know it's like 19. I'm gonna guess, but it's Price is Right rules. I can't go too over. So I'm gonna guess 1935.
God
damn it, I'm over.
1933.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, I was 2 years away though. That's not bad. Nothing to sneeze at. Okay, it's 1933.
Nathan Bader and Celia Amster were both from immigrant families living in Brooklyn in the early 1930s. Nathan dealt in furs, and Celia was a seamstress. Together, they had 2 little girls. The first was a little girl named Marilyn, but was nicknamed Kiki because as a baby she'd been a kicker.
Kiki,
The other one,
Kiki, I'm gonna kick you, Mom.
literally, I know,
That's
it's so
adorable.
cute. The second one was a little girl named Joan Ruth.
Joan.
The family was Orthodox Jewish, and they attended East Midwood Jewish Center for Services, even though they weren't as devout as other members in the community.
Okay, all right.
When Kiki was 6 and Joan was just over a year, Kiki got meningitis and she passed away.
No, not our Kiki.
Right away. Just like that, no. Joan was an only child.
She kicked the bucket?
She kicked the bucket!
I'm sorry. I really debated if I should say it or not. I'm so sorry to Kiki and her family for that bad joke. That's my dad. That's my dad raised me. That's where that came from. Okay, so tragedy struck.
When Joan got into school, there were a couple different Joans in the class, so Mama Celia suggested calling her Ruth as a way to differentiate between the other girls.
Yeah. I've tons. There were so many Hannahs in my class. Oh my God, Hannah B, Hannah C, Hannah Shell, Hannah Moses. I just went by Moses after a while.
Ruth was very interested in her Jewish faith, even going so far as to learn Hebrew. Because their family was Orthodox, Ruth could never have a bat mitzvah.
So all right, so I don't know much about what it means to be Jewish and what's, ceremonies and milestones you hit. But with Orthodox women, I guess Orthodox is one of the ones where even sometimes in the temple, they have like 2 different seating sections, one for men, one for women, and a sheet between them.
I don't know if it's a sheet or a wall. Sometime, like historically, I don't know how it is in Jewish temple, or really, honestly, in Muslim temples either. But historically, there is some sort of partition. Maybe it's a wall,
okay.
It could be a sheet. I know in some places there's also like kind of those like decorative wall thing, like bricks
lattices?
Where you can kind of lattices. Thank you. Yeah, lattice bricks.
Love me a lattice, guys.
Oh God, in Bolivia we had in our yard we had a one of those old school like wash basin things with the ripples to get like good stains out. We had modern washing stuff too.
But since it was really deep ones, you need a washboard and something. Yeah.
It had a built-in washboard on it.
Ooh.
But the little section that like you could go and get it, or the little area of our yard where that was, there was like a lattice brickwork behind it, and I always loved the look of that thing, and it had little vines kind of growing up in and out of it.
Yeah, gorgeous. Anyway. But so that she wasn't allowed to have a bat mitzvah was originally what my question was about.
Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that. Girl, I'm so sorry. It sounded like you missed out on a party.
It was a big party, but I don't think it was like a huge party at that point. It was more like just a ceremony. I think
okay.
Those only became like huge, You know what? I'm not going to say anything that I think because I'm not Jewish and I don't know about the Jewish culture in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know the history of the celebration of the bar or bat mitzvahs.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, girl, that you did not get your bat mitzvah, though.
Yeah. Girls in Orthodox faith, it's because girls are forbidden from reading the Torah.
What?
It's a holy sacred text.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will not press on that.
It's like most synagogues, temples.
Oh yeah, I think
synagogue maybe.
Temple, synagogue or temple.
You know what?
I think. Yeah, internet.
They call it temple.
Temple.
Or a shul. But it is also a synagogue. So we're not wrong, but it's easier to just call it temple. They keep Torah scrolls,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't touch it with your bare hands. So they have those little silver pointers, but only
Oh, you
men
were
are
telling me
allowed
about
to.
those.
Yeah, when we B's girlfriend Annika has a skeleton pointer that we kind of use to get junk out of bowls. But it's based off, and it's a very cute little like kitschy thing, but it's based off of a Torah pointer.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, you want to protect the paper, oily hands.
And
Definitely.
silver is an inert metal, and so you can use that to interact with it. Anyway, but
It's a nerd.
that's beside the
I'm going
point.
to get into the weeds if I keep doing this. All right. So she could not read the Torah.
She was not allowed. She could
Not
read
allowed.
Hebrew. She was not allowed to read the Torah.
Yes, thank you for clarifying. My
Which
bad.
was kind of a bummer because she had done a lot of work on trying to familiarize herself with Hebrew. But it didn't stop her from being involved in her church. She attended Jewish summer camps as a kid, and as she got older, she went back as a counselor.
Oh, cool. I wish I had done camp counseling.
That was one thing I will say for the Mormon church. They had young women's camp, and the years that I went to places where like they still had a lot of fun. It was really cheap to go. In Tennessee and Georgia, like we got to do backpacking trips, and I was the like first aid person on camp, so I ended up teaching like a lot of the classes on land for like first aid, but then I did a lot of the water safety stuff too. And when I went back as a counselor, one of the guys, they had to have priesthood holders there, right? They had to have a man.
Yeah, it's got to be a supervisor.
Got to have a man supervisor. All the women in the world running this whole thing doesn't matter. You got to have one man.
At least
one. He stayed in a tent at the end of the lake. It was really weird, but he was the dad of one of the girls, and had been doing this for a while, and he had this little one-man kayak. And so when I when I was in as a counselor, he would let me use it. So I would go around with in my little kayak, and I would teach the girls with canoes and stuff and their little life jackets, and I would like flip the canoe over, and I'd kind of scooch around in my little agile kayak and just be like, okay, now here's what you do, and then go around to the other side.
Don't drown, Timmy.
I got so agile with that teeny tiny little thing.
Oh yeah, you were probably like doing donuts.
I could do donuts. I could go backwards and front because I had to manipulate around.
Yeah, you got to get between
girls.
The kiddos.
I had to manipulate around multiple canoes that were in the water upside down, and girls that were freaking out.
Yeah,
they all had life jackets on. I'm not trying to drown anyone here, but that was part of the water safety thing. Was like you got to figure out how to get unstuck from when your canoe will flip.
Exactly, because it's not if, it's when.
So I went back as a counselor, and I had a lot of fun because like that was always something that I looked forward to in the summer. I wish I had done that like in a secular camp setting. But
for sure. But I went to a secular camp. It was fun. Yeah. It was pretty similar. Do you think Ruth flipped a canoe while being a counselor?
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
She had a little fun messing with the kids. Excellent. I like that. This Ruth. I know
maybe she was flipped in a canoe. About. It doesn't, one of the two. What'd you say?
Yeah. So I know what Ruth we're talking about. I'm very excited.
You know what Ruth we're talking about?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Ruth is so relevant right now. We need her.
I wonder why we're talking about her right now.
I wonder.
Oh my God.
Maybe because Alabama passed a law and now IVF treatment is at risk. Maybe.
Stories for today.
Yeah. This is why history is relevant.
Exactly. Why do you think we're talking about this? All right. So she was obviously a very, very smart child. We're talking about Ruth Bader. So by the beginning of high school, her mother, Celia, had been diagnosed with cancer. And Celia kept encouraging Ruth, even though she was fucking sick as a dog. She would take her to the library. She would help her with homework however she could.
That's a mama.
Well, it was a personal thing for Celia. It was she had forgone college herself because her parents could only afford to send their brother. So Celia had not had the chance to get a higher education because her male sibling was the was the priority.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any woman out there knows what we're talking about.
Yep.
That, well, you know, if they're going to put their money into someone, it must be someone with a shot,
Mm-hmm.
according to them. Little did they know.
Celia herself was also really smart. She had graduated from high school at 15. Like she could have gone to college and become something really big.
That's extremely impressive. I was a little shit at 15.
It's extremely impressive and also like even more sad because
Yeah.
she really back in a time where there weren't a lot of girl students, and the fact that she was so smart,
Yeah.
she really
And she
could
didn't
have
even get
done.
her shot.
She never got a shot, so she was like, Ruth, I got you. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you whatever effort I can do to get you in the best position.
Yeah, as much support that I can give you that I did not get myself.
Exactly.
Again, mama.
And even as Celia was fading, she pushed Ruth to keep up with her studying and attend all of the events that she needed to.
Hell yeah.
But a few days before Ruth's high school graduation, Celia died.
No.
Yeah.
No, right before graduation. She's so young.
Just before graduation.
Oh my gosh, she still needed a mom.
Ruth was sitting Shiva during the ceremony, so she missed the graduation because she was mourning her mother.
Oh, well, yeah, I got you, girl. I understand.
But she was accepted into and attended Cornell.
Fuck yeah.
When she attended, she was part of a Jewish sorority, only the second in the nation to exist at that time.
Wow. We're talking like early 50s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Late 40s, early 50s, yeah. She also got into Phi Beta Kappa, which is the oldest academic honor society in the U.S.
Of course, Ruth, get it.
Yeah.
I am so proud.
Right? Smart cookie. And then she studied under a man named Vladimir Nabokov, who was a Russian-American novelist.
Oh, no, I know Nabokov.
Do you know Nabokov?
Lolita writer.
He was the one that wrote Lolita?
You didn't know this?
I've never read it.
Oh my God. Side tangent in the weeds, folks. I'm sorry.
No, I know I need to. I know it's one of those, like, it's on my list. I just haven't read it yet.
About.
I know what it's about. It's
okay,
about that
yeah.
an old guy and a very young Lolita.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's yes and no. It's like it is. It's a book about an older man, very creepy. He's staying with this woman as a tenant, but he has many thoughts about her daughter, who's like 13 or 12, and she's like, yeah, you can kind of see where it goes from here, but I won't ruin anything else. It takes like it's a crazy turn, and you get a lot of
Does he write as like knowing how disgusting and terrible that is, or does he write as though he himself loves children and
he's conflicted? I think, if I remember, it's been a long time, but I remember it being a lot of introspection on like, why is he so drawn to this young girl? What is it? It's like she acts older than her years, and it's just one of those things where, you know, and you know what, still relevant today.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Ruth was, he was who to her? Mentor, teacher?
He was a mentor and a teacher to her, yeah. And
wow.
It was him. He helped her instill a love for an expressive type of writing, the one that she would hone to a fine fucking point throughout her career.
This makes me want to reread Lolita now.
You know what?
Because it is very expressive writing. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
let's do maybe a Patreon review.
Yeah, we can do a little book club.
Oh my God, I was just about to say a Patreon book club. Well, guys, we'll talk about it later.
We have like 7 listeners, so
and you know what? Maybe
they would be. We're a nobody.
I don't care. This might also just be for you and me, because you can just like, if do you have a library card for anybody out there that does listen to this? You don't?
For anyone out there who does listen to this, Get a library card. Even if you have the money to go buy books, it just looks good for your city.
Well, not even
They
just
need it for
that.
funding and for numbers.
Obviously for saving money. So you can
Mm-hmm.
read and get everything you want without paying for it. But that's how I do all my research, or what I was reading more is I would, because they allow you to do an online borrow. So you can digitally download it, read it, and then after like 21 days, it'll offload.
Oh, cool.
And it's all free.
Oh, so I can literally I can have it on my iPad and just read
Yeah, there's Hoopla
Fantastic.
and Libby are the two apps that basically you just upload your library card and it will pull from that library's digital profiles or portfolio.
Okay.
Oh my God. You can get it. Anyway, thank you guys. This has been The Weeds. Back to Ruth.
PSA.
Library card PSA, guys.
Not long after she started college, she met a man named Martin Ginsburg.
Martin
Marty.
Ginsburg. Marty.
We're going to call him affectionately for the rest of our time, Marty.
I like Marty. How'd she meet Marty?
They met in college.
Oh, just
I
like
think
knowing
maybe
people.
they had a class together or something like that, but they were both into law.
Okay. Good stuff. Love a college sweetheart line.
They fell in love. They dated throughout Ruth's time at Cornell, and Marty was just a bit older than her. He finished school and he went on to Harvard Law.
Excellent. Damn, she got a catch.
After Marty's first year at Harvard and Ruth's graduation from Cornell, they got married.
Congrats. Throw rice. Yay.
She got her bachelor in 1954.
What in law?
Bachelor of Arts. Bachelor of Arts in 1954.
All right.
So they get married, and almost immediately, Marty gets drafted into military service. His number comes up.
That's a bummer. You don't want that right after you get married.
No, but she's going with him now. So they put education on hold, and then they go to Fort Sill in Oklahoma for the next couple of years while Marty just does his civic duty.
Okay.
He said later, quote, "We had nearly 2 whole years far from school, far from career pressures, and far from relatives to learn about each other and to begin to build the life."
Oh, that's I mean, obviously under stressful situations, but the fact that like they got time to just be a couple by themselves.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about families where they didn't have that time and it was just immediate stress and kids and everything is so high stakes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might be speaking too early because she worked for the Social Security Administration offices in Oklahoma, and then she had their first child the next year, Jane. And when the Social Security Administration found out she was pregnant, they demoted her. Yeah.
Oh, I should have remembered. This is a time where they thought a woman being pregnant
50s,
made
honey.
her not able to have a job.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Oh, you're pregnant? You're fired. It was those
we'll
times.
Just put you down to reception so that nobody misses you when you're gone.
Ouch.
But it didn't matter anyway. It wasn't important for long because Marty, the next year in 1956, he was able to leave the military and they went back to Boston.
Okay. To Boston. Boston in a harbor with a car. That's the best I got.
Marty continued his law program and Ruth began law school at Harvard as well. When she got there, she was one of 9 women in a class of 500.
It just makes me immediately think Legally Blonde. You got into Harvard Law? What? Like it's hard?
Literally.
That's literally, I think that's just like Ruth was like, that wasn't that bad.
She's really smart.
She knew, she's capable in every fucking facet. I love you, Ruth. Go, girl. Go, bitch, go.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I cannot believe I would disrespect her like this.
You didn't.
Bobble-headed Ruth.
Oh my God, I didn't know you had one.
Preside over this little thing for the rest of the episodes.
Oh yes, please. May she preside forever and ever and ever. All rise.
So I think we also need to talk, and I will go through this, over the episode, but like she's not just good, and she's not just as good as the other men in there. She had to be so much better than every other man there just to get in, and she was one of 9 women that managed to do that.
Yeah, in a class of probably hundreds.
So for this episode, we're going to play a game called Spot the Misogynist Pig.
Okay, what do I win?
It'll take up the whole fucking episode, but we're going to do it anyway.
Okay, I'll keep a little note here going, look for piggies.
Find a little noise for when we publish this, and it'll go ding, 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 whenever we find Spot the Misogynist Pig. All right.
Okay.
So while Ruth is in law school, she and the 8 other women are invited to dinner with the dean of the law school.
I'm suspicious.
It's such a nice invitation, they think innocently.
It should be. It seems like an honor, right?
Mm-hmm. So they get to this guy's family home. He invites them all to dinner. They're all sat around this very nice dinner table that has been prepared for them. And he looks at them and he says, "Why are you at Harvard Law School taking the place of a man?"
Ding, 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 ding. I'm ringing my bell as fast as possible. What do you mean, why am I here? I passed all the exams. I wrote a fucking cover letter. I probably interviewed.
But a man should be in charge of their future, and your husband's in law school, so you should just be at home with your kid.
That's not what he said, right? Not in so many words.
Basically, he literally said, "Why are you here and taking the place of a man?"
Because I mean,
earned that to me screams like 50 other things too.
Ding, 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 ding,
and
ding.
clearly she didn't think that, or clearly he didn't think that any of them had earned it, or he wouldn't ask that question.
Yeah, no, and it's so awkward that you're at a fucking dinner. Like you, he knew what he was doing in that moment too, right? Rise him up.
He planned it specifically so that he could do that.
Mm-hmm. God, so what happened? Do we know anything about the rest of the dinner?
They stayed in school. I mean, they probably kept their mouths shut and were like,
I would
really have an answer for that.
And just be like,
other than like, we're smarter than them.
Yeah, just thanks for the crudité.
We got accepted.
I took an exam.
I got in.
I got in. I'm sorry. Maybe men could be better than me. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, crazy thought.
What? Oh, well, I stayed in school. I mean, at least I didn't get kicked out, but like they definitely were like, "You're not welcome."
Literally. That same year, Marty was diagnosed with testicular cancer.
Oh, Marty, no. Please live.
Ruth took care of him. She kept him up on his classwork. She took care of their 1-year-old baby. And in a class of over 500, she maintained her spot at the top of the class in her first year of law school.
And this was all in the first year?
All in the first year.
Where did she? Yeah, girl. Yeah. Not that head. I guess people had more energy back then, or I don't know how she did that. To do your own classwork and stay on top and keep your husband.
The human spirit is incredibly resilient.
I guess so. And you had a 1-year-old baby at the time. That alone.
Well, also, laws weren't as complicated. There were a lot of them, but we have way more complicated laws and technology now than they were dealing with back then. And like women's rights were just barely a thing.
Right.
Voting.
Take technology out of it. I mean, that still is just a tremendous amount of work. And the school year was still the same length. And she did all of that. That is incredible.
With a 1-year-old, a husband who was so sick with testicular cancer he couldn't go to class, which meant that he was having chemo and probably had surgery and all sorts
of
they have chemo? Crappy shit. It would have been around that time.
I guess it would
Yeah.
have been early stages chemo. Scary
Let's look it
chemo.
up.
I mean, it's scary
Yeah.
now, but
50s chemo. This was around the time when Ava was also getting her
oh
chemo as
shit.
well.
Oh, okay. Bring in not small world, but bring in our episodes into context with each other. I don't know what this little hand motion is that I'm doing. But
I have wanted to do like a timeline where all of these things
we have talked about this.
you know, a little tick for each person so that we can kind of see where these people are both like in their timeline are intersecting, but also maybe in location or in
Yeah.
activities, if they knew each other. I would love to have that.
Yeah.
It looks like the chemo drugs that were developed in the 50s are the ones that are still used today.
Okay, so I guess it would have been, I mean, it's similarly harsh on the body.
Yes, and it
For
would have
sure.
been pioneering for sure. So within the first decade of its development.
Yeah, it would have been like a much bigger ordeal than it is even now.
But you know what,
Whoa.
Hannah?
What's up?
That's not all. Because she didn't just take care of her 1-year-old and maintain her spot at the top of a class of 500 and take care of the schoolwork for her husband, who was being treated for cancer while she took care of him.
Yeah,
she
I was gonna say
did that on the Harvard Law Review.
So tell me more about the Harvard Law Review, because I actually don't know much about it. I've heard it, and that's it.
Law reviews are important because it helps students hone their research, writing, and editing skills while still in law school. It better prepares lawyers for entering the working world, and it's a big deal if you are able to get on a law review at all, but it's even a bigger deal if you get on at a place like Harvard. You have to be like the best of the best for that, and she got in her first year.
I mean, she didn't just work hard. She had to have been immensely talented in this field.
Yes, and like so kind and calm throughout the whole thing. It's incredible.
I would not have been kind or calm.
That's what I'm.
I would have. You've seen me when I'm hangry. Okay, imagine that. I couldn't.
Guys,
I would not have been able.
Hannah Moses, before she gets her brains in the morning, is
I would be pile of dust Hannah Moses
to hang out with.
Yeah. I would be. Oh, remember Hannah Moses? That's who she was. She is. We're speaking about her in the past tense. She died from this amount of workload and life stress.
So this woman is fucking super Ruth. Her GPA is perfect. Yes. Marty got better. And thanks to Ruth's assistance with him keeping up on his schoolwork, he was able to graduate law school. And he was offered a position in New York City.
Wait.
Even though she did all of this shit, didn't stop the school and her husband from trying to pull more shit with her.
Wait a minute. Okay, first I was like, yay, he's doing better. He got better. He graduated. All of that.
Can you have a little ding, 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 ding?
Yeah, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Where's her job offer?
No, Ruth still had 1 year of law school left.
Oh, that's right.
And she wanted to keep the family together. So she had an idea. She appealed to the dean of the school. Could she please finish her last year at Columbia Law School in New York and then have that count towards her Harvard law degree? It's the same programs. It's the same classes that I have to take. It's the same length of time.
It's
this motherfucker was like,
ask. Well, I wonder, because it's like you're asking the dean, who's like, why are you even here? So yeah, I'm imagining what his response will be. I take it. Go ahead. Let me know. What did this motherfucker say?
What do you think he said?
No.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. He was like, you can go fuck yourself. Absolutely.
And she's top of the fucking class.
She's top of her class. And he won't let her transfer.
He can spin this into, like, it has to be like, it's the only reason that she's gonna say no is because she's a woman. She's the top of the class. She's maintained a perfect GPA. There's literally no other reason he could say no, and he's gonna get away with it.
There would also be no other reason for a man to leave a Harvard program until he graduated.
True.
So a man wouldn't be transferring halfway through to follow his wife to a job.
Yeah.
You can't go the other way. It doesn't work like that. Duh.
Okay.
Come on,
All right.
Hannah.
I know. Silly me.
So she decided to just go, fuck it. Fine. I won't get my degree from Harvard Law then. She transferred just straight up. She transferred to Columbia for her last year of law school. She joined the law review there, tied for first in her graduating class in that one, and she became the first woman ever to serve on 2 major law reviews.
Fuck yeah. And that's where that dean goes, I fucked up.
Yes, that's exactly where he goes, I fucked up.
And at this moment, he realized he had fucked up.
Well, they say success is the best revenge, but Ruth was far from successful right out of school.
Yeah, but she was starting her revenge path.
She was starting her revenge path, but it was mostly just, I'm trying to start my career path, you know?
Right. Yeah.
She was a smarty pants. Yeah, exactly. She was a smarty pants, but who in this big, bad world of New York lawyers was going to hire this physically teeny, tiny woman to work for them?
Do we know how tall she was? I know that the internet knows, but I don't know if we know. I'm going to guess. Let's do Price is Right rules.
Okay, how tall was she?
I'm going to go 5'1".
Literally. Yeah.
I got it on the dot?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. She's smaller than my mom.
Like my mother tries to say, I'm 5 foot trying to be one.
Oh,
she's a short person.
I love that. I like her attitude. Hey, shorty.
I'm sure you've learned this after your program, after you went to school. Grades don't count for shit in the real world.
No,
you either have a degree or you don't. Like, no, it doesn't
either
matter
you're
if
top
I got
of the class
A's.
or you're the rest of the class.
Yes, and if you're the rest of the class, you have your degree on there on your resume, and that's pretty much what you got.
That's true.
Yes. So in her many applications for clerkships, she was denied over and over and over again, despite the strongest letters of recommendation from her professors. In fact, the only reason that she was given the chance to finally be a clerk for a judge was because Gerald Gunther, a professor of hers, threatened to never recommend another alumnus if Judge Edmund Palmieri didn't give Ruth a try.
Oh, hell yeah.
He was like, I personally guarantee her work. If you don't like her, I will send the next best person to you, and you can just tell me off, and that's fine. But if you don't give her a chance, so help me, I will never recommend another human for your office ever again.
I love that.
Coming from, law professors.
They mean it.
Yeah, they mean it.
It's in writing. They will follow through.
Exactly.
They will do it.
So Edmund Palmieri finally hires her because he gets threatened.
Yeah.
And for the next 2 years, so from 1959 to 1961, Ruth clerked for Palmieri, who was a district judge for Southern New York.
I feel like I've heard his name before.
Basically as this person.
Yeah.
The person who gave her a chance. She enjoyed the work, and I don't think he ever had much cause for concern, or it would have been said by now. And he kept her for 2 years, which means she didn't do actually that bad of a job. When the clerkship ended, she interviewed and was offered positions at multiple law firms.
Good.
The salary she was offered was always hold on, we didn't get a little ding 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 for the clerkships. Ding 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 for the clerkships. All right, so then the clerkship that she did get, that ended. She was interviewed and was offered positions at multiple law firms, and the salary she was offered was always a fraction of what her male counterparts were being offered.
Yeah, I kind of was waiting for that. Ding 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 ding.
Hold on, it wasn't just because she was a woman, guys, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't it. Well, that wasn't all of it.
Was there a height requirement?
It was a mother.
Yeah, I knew it was something stupid.
Yeah, she's got a kid, and she's gonna have to leave and go take care of the thing, and I don't want that kind of weight on my law firm. I'll pay you less per hour so that you're more motivated to stay here for longer hours. That'll teach you to have a kid and a vagina.
I just it's just like such backwards logic that it's like, oh, she has someone that she needs to provide for that technically would mean that she needs more money. Let's pay her less
Yeah,
and
because
have
that
her
always works out
motivated
so
to
well.
spend more time away from her kid.
Hmm.
I just hate this world that she's in. I know, girl. I love you. Yes,
Nevertheless, she persisted.
of course she did.
So instead of attempting to join another firm that wouldn't value her work, she decided to get back into academia. She rejoined Columbia Law School, first as a research associate and then as an associate director.
Woo!
She really enjoyed civil procedure, and more she was finding that these had everything to do with her daily quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
The project she was working on was called the Columbia Law School Project on International Procedure, and she ended up kind of specializing specifically in Swedish civil procedure.
Interesting that it's Swedish.
Hmm.
Okay.
She even moved to Sweden for a year to study at the Lund University.
Oh, wonder what that was like. I want to go to Sweden.
She spent time observing what lawyers worked on. She watched how they worked and cooperated. And as an added benefits, she got to see the demographics of the people who worked in law.
Ew. And
It
how
was
much better was it?
it was so much better. It
I
was so
figured.
different. Women made up about a quarter of the student body in law school. They were
Oh,
represented in the court systems. One
okay.
judge that she observed was working still at 8 months pregnancy,
Wow.
which probably stung a fair bit for Ruth because she had been demoted for the
Yeah,
sin of pregnancy in her country.
I know.
And in Sweden and throughout the project, Ruth worked closely with a man named Anders Bruzelius.
Cruzelius.
She even
Cruzelius.
co-authored a book with him.
Oh.
Anders and his family were really connected in law and legislation in Europe. Anders was a judge and a jurist, and his daughter Karen was in law school when Ruth was in Sweden working with Anders.
Ah.
So Karen said, by getting close to my family, Ruth realized that one could live in a completely different way, that women could have a different lifestyle and legal position than what they had in the United States.
Oh, yeah. That's
When
how
she
I feel
returned,
about healthcare whenever I travel. I'm like, look at this things. Isn't it neat? uh, wow? Oh,
isn't
I'll
it
get some
nice when
lyrics.
my health care is complete?
Oh, there it is. We could do this. Yeah, I get it, girl. When you see something working a different way,
Like, oh my God, why can't we have this?
it's like it makes so much sense. Why is it so hard to implement these things here?
I really want to go to Amsterdam,
Oh, yeah.
um, because I want to, like, I've heard that in a lot of towns around the Netherlands are like designed not for cars, but
Mm,
for like pedestrians and cyclists
yeah,
and stuff.
I've heard stuff.
And I just find that so awesome. Like it's so much better
It is.
being
I
able to
was
have a
listening.
walkable area.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast, one of my favorite ones. It's called Go My Favorite Sports Team. If you do, I recommend go listen to it. It's a fun way to learn about sports. Now,
Okay.
one of the co-hosts, his name is Tyler, and he went to Thailand. He was talking about how it's just crazy that it's like he's out there and it's just, oh my God. Like, yeah, it's kind of chaotic in the streets because, there's like, motorcycles and mopeds everywhere, and everybody kind of just knows how everything works and it's going. But it does work. It feels chaotic, but like it does. Everybody gets where they need to go. You can go from one end of the city to the other, and it's not this
Beehive of
crazy
activity.
traffic, red lights everywhere. You just hop on the train or the bus, and there you go.
Hmm.
And it's just people kind of care about mopeds, making sure they go first, that they can get in there. That they go around them, that they're safe about it. But like here, it's like fuck off, blah. Put the horn
And
on.
have you ever like hung out in DC for a bit?
No, I haven't.
I love it there. I think it's a really
Yeah.
nice town. But the metro system that they've got is just like a lot of my memories as a kid were like my grandparents lived in Northern Virginia, and
Hmm.
like 4 minutes away from their house was a station, and so we I was very used to like riding the train as a kid
Yeah.
because we would go in to DC probably every other day when we would come and visit them because the Smithsonian is free.
Oh,
You
I
can
want
get
to
into
go.
all sorts of different museums for
Yeah.
free. And so
God,
when
that's
we would come
insane.
home for the summers and like hang out there,
Oh,
that was a
we
lot
should,
of
if we
free
ever get a
entertainment for
chance,
kids. It's
if we ever
awesome.
get a
I
chance
highly
to go to
recommend it.
DC, I'm taking, or even to like Philadelphia, like I want to go there.
Hmm.
But I also wonder if it's because these cities were kind of on the East Coast, they're a little bit more European in some ways because that's how they were founded, is technically by Europeans at the
Hmm.
time, European immigrants, where it's just like they have like more windy cities. That's not a grid pattern like it is now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot how we got on this topic.
We were talking about how much better life was in Sweden than it was in the United States.
Ah, yes, and Ruth picked up on that and started learning from it.
Yes, and she wrote a book with one of the judges that was living in Sweden at the time. They did all of this study. And so she returned to the US. She published the book on her findings, and she was offered a position as a professor of law at Rutgers Law School.
Rutgers?
Hmm.
I don't know Rutgers' reputation. Good?
Good,
Medium?
but probably not the elite at the time.
No, not Cornell, not Harvard, not Columbia.
This was in 1963.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
big year.
when she was offered the job, she heard a familiar line.
Oh no. What are you
What do
doing
you think
here?
it's She was offered a much lower salary for her
Oh,
work
that.
because,
Yeah.
quote, your husband has a very good job.
Ding, ding, ding. Burn
I
this bastard.
I asked for a raise. I had been working my off on this big project, and our the company that I was working for was a like multi-billion dollar had done multi-billion dollars in sales and like was
Ah,
doing very well for themselves. They had a couple record years and loved to brag about it, right, to
right,
everyone
right,
without
right. Look
actually
how
giving
good we're
everyone
doing.
pay raises. So when I presented what I thought was a very good case for like a wage raise to just get to like a livable wage in where I was
Yeah.
at, I was told by my supervisor, well, doesn't your boyfriend have a good job? And I had to remind him for the fucking umpteenth time, no. In fact, my boyfriend had to quit his job because he is got long COVID. He has a
Yeah.
neurological disorder. He lost the ability to walk. We've had this conversation many times.
Oh
And
no.
again, it's none of your business. Like,
And yeah, that's
you
the biggest
shouldn't be
thing.
relying on my partner's income. I'm
It
asking
should
you
be
for
my
me.
merit.
You should treat me like I'm single. Stop relying on another human that's hanging out here when you should have absolutely no say in what
Yeah.
his input is to my life.
No, I know. Exactly. It's exactly. It's none of your business. It is
Exactly.
it should be my pay is based on the work I do and the merit that I bring and the
Hmm.
experience. And I'm showing you
And
all of that in this case.
instead of that, it was like, nah, the best we can do is 3%.
Oh, I hope you reported them.
I got I got let go afterwards because that guy was just he was one of those like snake in the grass managers where he'll
Uh-huh.
like say one thing to management and then say
Uh-huh.
other shit to us, but say it to us on the phone so that it's never written down. And then when we confirm it in writing, he'll be like, "No, I never said that."
I hate that shit.
Yeah,
Oh, I hate that
he was
shit.
a son of a bitch, and I was the guy that I worked for before him. Like
Mm-hmm.
that guy, amazing. Couldn't have been easier to work with. Super chill, really nice dude. I knew what I was doing. He was helping me get more training to like move up in the world and to
Yeah.
to move on. And this dude saw that I was good at my job and made sure that I was only right there doing my job.
And I hate that because I feel like I had a manager like that at my last office job where I was too
Hmm.
good at the property I was at and I kept trying to find ways to get out of it. And he would be like, well, we don't need that right now. But then somebody else would be doing it at a different office, and then they'd be doing it for the whole company, even though I'm the one who wanted to do it in the first place. It was a whole thing.
If you're too good at the job that you do, you'll never be moved into another job.
Yep, yep. I'm learning exactly
And you
how
will be
true that is.
punished with more work without any extra pay.
Exactly, and no benefit to it. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I know. I am hoping I don't run into another one of those soon, because I would probably say something I'd regret.
Back to Ruth, though. So she got
Yes, Ruth.
offered a job as a professor of law at Rutgers, and she was given a pittance of a salary offer because her husband has a very good job.
Of course.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
So she took the job anyway. She said yes. She was like, I'm going to do it anyway, even
Yeah. Well, show him what I can do.
At the time, there were fewer than 20 women in the US who were law professors.
God.
Just that title was an honor, and so
Yes.
she was like, I'll take the crappy pay if it means I can do the job.
Yeah.
In early 1965, Ruth discovered she was pregnant for a second time.
Okay. I'm wondering,
and since it
good
had
or
gone
bad.
so well for her last time, she took measures to hide the pregnancy.
Oh shit. Hold on. I imagine it's like her with big briefcases walking around in front of her stomach. Like later on, she has like always carrying a huge potted plant, walking around like, "What's up? Hey."
Well, she's a teeny tiny person. How do you do that, right? And
big
she was afraid.
bags.
She was afraid that Rutgers wasn't going to renew her contract if they knew that she was going to have a baby. So instead of the plants or whatever, she just began to wear like bigger, oversized clothing, a lot of muumuus, that kind of stuff.
The classic.
Yeah, the classic. And luckily, the late months of pregnancy, when she was really showing and when she popped the kid out, that was in the summer when school was out.
Oh, thank goodness.
So in September of that year, Ruth gave birth to her second child, which was a son named James.
Okay. James, welcome.
Jane and James.
Oh, that's cute. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit, that's really cute. Oh, my God. I love that.
One tiny little aside. So Ruth, she famously cared more about law than food, and she was just a terrible cook.
Oh, I thought you meant like she just didn't eat?
Sometimes she didn't eat or she just didn't care. Marty had learned basically really early on in their marriage that if he had wanted a decent meal, he had to make it himself. So he picked up a cookbook. He worked his way through Julia and he worked his way through the cookbook. And
the
then
Julia Child stuff?
He worked his way through a cookbook a la, like kind of like the Julia stuff. Kind of like that movie, yeah. But because of that, he became an accomplished French chef throughout the course of their marriage.
Can I just pause and say, I love Marty so much. What a supportive husband to be like, I don't see this as a personal failing of my wife, that she's not a big chef type.
No.
And he took it upon himself to learn a new skill, got great at it, became an accomplished chef.
Yep.
I need to find my Marty.
Yeah, everybody does.
I think everybody
need to find the person that knows that you're going to have your failings where you have them, and
you're still a complete, wonderful person.
Yes, and I'm still allowed to love you.
Yay!
So, let's see. Oh, plus the kids far preferred his cooking to Ruth's, and she was fine with it too. She was like, I get to eat really nice food, and I don't have to cook it. Yeah, I don't have to pay for it. It was great.
I love it.
So she had her kid in September, and then she went right back to school and she taught law again.
Nailed it. She hid that pregnancy like Kylie Jenner. Love it. Do you remember?
I have no idea what that means.
Okay. I have to let everybody know that you will, after today's recording, know what that means. So basically, Kylie Jenner, big famous Kardashian celebrity. Obviously.
Yes.
She got pregnant with her first kid and famously hid the whole thing. Like stayed out of the spotlight, didn't like post pictures of herself, like and everybody was freaking out for like 6 months trying to figure out if she was pregnant or not, until finally she like posted a picture of the baby's hand and was like, love this kid. And everybody's like, oh shit. So she basically pulled that. Nobody at her job, did that. And even more impressive, she did it in person. Like she had to do smoke screens and run distractions and stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
I knew she was incredible, but I had no idea that she was that incredible.
She is a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Oh, I love it.
So she goes right back to school. She teaches law. And for 9 years, Ruth Ginsburg mainly teaches civil procedure. So she gets really, really good at this specific thing. And then in 1969, she received tenure, which means you can never be fired. The job's hers as long as she wanted to be there.
Oh my God. Everybody dreams of having a tenure job.
It's the Ross moment from Friends. I got tenure!
Oh shit. The only thing I think of when you say the Ross moment for Friends is I just go, my sandwich? My sandwich? That's my Ross moment. And everybody else would think pivot. Pivot!
Oh, of course, pivot! Yeah. It's amazing how many Ross moments there are in just everyday life.
Fuck yeah, girl.
But she got tenure, yeah.
Hell yeah.
In 1970, Rutgers did something I think was pretty cool. So they let Ruth have a law journal published that focused exclusively on women's rights.
Oh, okay. Rutgers. You should be Ivy League. Maybe. I don't know much about it.
It was called Women's Rights Law Reporter and is still a scholarly journal published quarterly by Rutgers.
I love it. I have so
Even
much
today.
respect for you, Rutgers.
In 1972, Ruth decided it was time to move on, and Columbia Law School had come a-calling, so she accepted a position as a professor there.
Fuck yeah.
And at Columbia, she was the first woman to receive tenure ever at that school.
I just love that she keeps getting tenure.
Yeah.
I just love it.
She taught more on civil procedure, but she started also including coursework on gender discrimination. In fact, she literally wrote the book on sex discrimination, co-authoring the very first casebook for those classes.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's pretty much seen it firsthand, front center, and she's ready to take the fucking veil off.
That same year, she made history outside of law by co-founding the Women's Rights Project at the American Civil Liberties Union. The next year, she became general counsel for the project. She was their lawyer.
She was, the lawyer of the council?
Of the Women's Rights Project.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's my bad.
All right, the ACLU.
Women's rights lawyer.
She works with the ACLU and the Women's Rights Project. She's their general counsel.
Perfect.
So over the next 2 years, she worked with the WRP, and they participated in over 300 gender discrimination cases.
Oh, wow. 300.
Right. 300.
How big was this council?
I don't know how many people there were, but there was probably a team of them.
But, it had to be. I mean, each case itself needs a team of like at least, I'm sure, a handful of people.
I don't know how law works, so yeah, probably.
I don't know law. I don't know. I read the research, people.
I just read the reads. And this is where shit gets fun. So the cases are all over the place. Some of them are special cases. Some of them get to the Supreme Court. Some of them get thrown out. All of that. And she sees all sorts of shit. And as general counsel, she was the woman to argue these cases before the bench.
Oh, so she's like the face of the movement.
She's the face of these arguments.
In these arguments, in the courtroom.
Yeah, in the courtroom. Yeah, in the courtroom, she's the face of this. And there's like, I think 6 cases that she argues before the Supreme Court bench.
God, that's gotta be nerve-wracking.
It is fucking nerve-wracking. And she's practicing her speeches that she's about to give. and they don't really say like what year this happens, but this is a fairly well-known like story. So she is going on and on about sex discrimination and the differences in sex, all of that stuff. And she is practicing this in front of a secretary, and the secretary finally stops her and mentions, hey, the word sex might be distracting for the judges. What about using the term gender instead? And pretty much after this, Ruth referred to gender discrimination with only the term gender.
That woman knew what the hell she was talking about, because she knows men get so distracted by anything related to sex, even just the name of the word sex.
That's a smart secretary, because the secretary was probably also getting distracted by the word sex. So it was probably like, if I'm thinking about it, those gross men are probably definitely thinking about it. Like,
yeah, she's probably going, you know what? I'm just going to tell you, all men are basically gorillas. So if you're going to say sex, it's going to be one of those things where they just can't get past the word. They hear sex and nothing else after that. And so she's like, just to get past that toddler brain of theirs, why don't you just use a different word?
Duties.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love her. Unnamed hero.
Took the air out of all of it and was like, all right, we're just going to use gender.
They're just dumb.
It's easy. It's simple.
Yeah. I love it. And I honestly, I did not even think about it, because of course I'm using my brain and putting it into context, saying we're talking about sex as in male versus female, biological gender or sex identity. Like,
yeah.
And that's it. That's and I wouldn't have thought that it would be so distracting, but she has a great point. I'm just blown away by her. Oh my God. I love her.
Well, that wasn't her idea. Someone told her to do that.
No, I know, but I'm talking about the secretary who told her.
Yeah. No, that is, yeah. And she is
my
also,
unsung hero.
Exactly. And I don't even have a name for the secretary, so
I know.
I
like
can't even give her her dues.
No, you know, dues to the ether, wherever she is.
So starting in 1971 with Reed v. Reed, Ruth either wrote the briefs for or presented a number of cases before the court. The first one, Reed v. Reed, this was a couple who was still married, but they were separated. They were living in Idaho. Their son died, and his estate, which was an amount of less than $1,000, just needed to be dealt with. And Idaho law specifically gave preference to males over females in matters of wills and estates being carried out. And the mom didn't think that this was fair, so they both went to court over it. It wasn't, it was a small amount of money, but it was a principle of the matter. And in the 70s, $1,000 was a fair bit
Still
more than that's a few months of rent instead of just part of 1 month,
Yeah.
So when it reached the Supreme Court, Ruth helped author the brief. Before the opinion came out, Idaho amended its law to exclude the preference for men in the execution of wills and estates. For this, Chief Justice Berger wrote the opinion.
I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Now I'm showing my gorilla brain where I can't get past Chief Justice Berger. I need that to be
Cheese
fast
Justice
food
Burger.
It
Justice
needs to be a
Cheeseburger.
Thank you. Or Chief Justice Berger. I still love that. Chief Justice Berger.
Chief
All right.
Berger. So he wrote the opinion to give a mandatory preference to members of either sex over members of the other, merely to accomplish the elimination of hearings on the merits, is to make the very kind of arbitrary legislative choice forbidden by the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And whatever may be said as to the positive values of avoiding intrafamily controversy, the choice in this context may not lawfully be mandated solely on the basis of sex. Basically, you can't just assume that one person should get the money over another.
Yeah.
To give a mandatory preference to males over females is indeed sexist, and it's an arbitrary thing.
Right. It's not based on any sound principles.
Exactly. So you shouldn't be dealing with that.
Yeah, that doesn't belong in a court then.
A case she presented to the 10th District with her husband, Marty.
Marty.
Sorry. Which
Marty.
I think is so cute that they presented one together.
I love it. Couples.
Right.
Couples project.
So Moritz v. Commissioner was denied on the appeal, but then they changed the language of the law anyway. So they tried to present this, it was denied. So it didn't make it to the Supreme Court, but the law was changed anyway. Like, even though they lost the case, they got the win in the long run. So it was a case. I'm mentioning this not because the Supreme Court was part of it, but because how the case was argued. So Moritz was a guy who had never been married. He didn't have kids, and he paid a caretaker to give treatments and care for his ailing, aging mother.
Okay.
He applied for a tax deduction that allowed that cost of care to be subsidized because of his mother's condition. And they rejected the deduction because it was only for women or men who had previously been married.
But this is for his mom. His marital status shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Exactly. He appealed, basically saying he couldn't get a deduction because his family status wasn't correct for the paperwork. So Ruth and Marty presented it to the 10th Circuit. The government, in response, held up a huge pile of papers. It was a computer-generated list of all the laws that would be affected or have to be amended if they let this one case pass on the basis of gender discrimination.
I don't want to do paperwork.
Literally, they were like, if we accept this case for you, we'll have to accept all of these cases, and this will be our docket for the next 70 years.
Okay,
well, they didn't actually say 70 years, but it was a big pile. But it was still a win because in the end, that law got changed, and the language was altered to make it so that anyone who was in a situation of being a caretaker was qualified, regardless of their marital status or their gender.
Okay, so basically the case was lost because they didn't want to do paperwork, so they just did the least amount of paperwork later, which is this law is just now changed moving forward.
All right, so in this case, I'm going to say the court, there's the court, the law, and then just say Ruth and Marty. Okay. So Ruth and Marty wanted the court to take a look at this case about gender discrimination because of paperwork. And the court said to Ruth and Marty, if we took a look at your case, we'd have to take a look at 100 other cases and we'd have to revisit them all. And so we're not going to do that because that's going to take up too much time. Right. And so they lost in the court. But because that case came to the court, the law took notice. They saw that this was nonsense law. And so because Marty and Ruth made the effort to try and take that case, the law got changed. Even though the court case was denied, the law still got updated so that anyone that qualified could do that. They were like, yeah, that is a sexist law. Let's just go ahead and change that. And before it becomes even more trouble later on.
So I was in the ballpark, but it wasn't the court that did it. It was the law, the legislators. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But good.
Basically, it was like, yeah, you're right. That is a paperwork error. Let's just go ahead and change that.
Excellent. Yeah. Go Marty and Ruth. Ruth and Marty, the dream team. Ruth and Marty. Okay. I embarrass myself daily. It's fine.
You're fine. One of the other cases that she did was Frontiero v. Richardson. It was a case based on military exemptions for health insurance.
Military exemptions for health insurance. Okay.
So, Lieutenant Sharon Frontiero of the U.S. Air Force applied for housing and medical benefits for her husband. She claimed him on her taxes as a dependent.
Okay.
The government denied the benefit, saying that they needed proof that he was dependent on her for more than half of the support that he needed.
Okay.
And on this basis, her husband was denied the benefits because they didn't have that proof. This was weird because servicemen frequently added their wives onto their plans as dependents, and none of them were ever asked to provide proof that they were actually dependent on their husbands. They were just given the paperwork of like, we're married, and okay, or this is my wife, give her housing. They're like, okay,
so
cool.
we're calling it a little ding, 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 ding. Because it's just
a lot of these have to do with ding, ding, dings, but
it's like, you're a man. How the hell could you be dependent on her? Is what they're basically thinking.
What kind of man needs his wife to be the one to make the income?
Yeah, so this is kind of like a weird version of misogyny that's now directed at men who don't fit the toxic male stereotype.
And I think, and we will see this a lot, is that more of these gender discrimination cases, there's quite a few that are against men.
Yeah,
and like
you're not enough.
What?
It's like the courts being like, you're not man enough.
Kind of like the one for the tax deduction, like for the cost deduction for care, that was for any woman, but men had to have been previously married,
which is so weird.
Yeah, I mean, Lieutenant Frontiero, she wanted to provide assistance to her husband. She wanted to have a slightly more comfortable financial situation that she felt she was entitled to as a lieutenant. And the government wasn't fucking having it. They were like, nah, we're not going to do this.
No, but you're a woman. You can't provide care for him.
But here's the thing, is that it was way more stupid than that. Their counter argument was that it was an administrative thing more than a discrimination thing. Women were frequently the dependents. They didn't need the same scrutiny and paperwork and all of that paperwork would like hold up processing if you had to do this for every wife of every serviceman.
Okay. They're so stretching. They're reaching for any way to just deny it and say no. I'm quite baffled.
Ruth's very first oral argument in front of the Supreme Court bench.
Oh shit.
For 10 minutes.
Big time.
Yes. For 10 minutes, Ruth spoke on the need for exactitude and strict scrutiny of each gender discrimination case. And at the very end, she said this.
Like we bring the bobblehead out because she's in front of the bench.
Asking the court to declare sex a suspect criterion, amicus urges a position forcibly stated in 1837 by Sarah Grimke, a noted abolitionist and advocate of equal rights for men and women. She spoke not elegantly, but with unmistakable clarity. She said, I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks.
Woo! Get your foot off my neck.
Literally, like we're not asking for more. We just want you to stop shitting on us all the time.
Stop pushing us down. Stop restricting our breathing.
Yes. We're trying to control our uteri.
Yeah. Get your foot off my uteri.
The holding of the case, quote, any statutory scheme which draws a sharp line between the sexes solely for the purpose of achieving administrative convenience necessarily commands dissimilar treatment for men and women who are similarly situated and therefore involves the very kind of arbitrary legislative choice forbidden by the Constitution, end quote.
Yeah.
I don't need to explain that one. Pretty clear.
No. That one's a little more layman's terms.
Yeah. The next case she argued in front of the Supreme Court bench was also a pretty good win for gender equality.
Okay.
Weinberger versus, okay, it's Weinberger. So Weinberger versus Wiesenfeld. So Wiesenfeld.
Okay.
But it's
Weinberger
spelled
versus
opposite.
Wiesenfeld. Yeah.
It's or Wiesenfeld. I don't know, but I'm trying. I think it's Weisenfeld.
Yeah, it was a case tried in America, so it's in American documentation. We're gonna go with the American pronunciation.
So Stephen Weisenfeld was a recent widower. His income was inconsistent at best, and his wife had been a teacher in the school system. In order to care for his son, he dropped his hours and he applied for benefits under Social Security. He was denied survivor's benefits because he was a widower, not a widow. It wasn't open to widowers, it was only open to widows.
Only to widows.
So only women who had lost their husbands, not husbands who had lost their wives, even though his wife had been like the main breadwinner and his wife had been the one who had the benefits.
That God, yeah, I don't really know what to say to that because it's like it's just one of those things where the law is just made for one very specific purpose, where women had to work, they were in one very specific role. Men were in one very specific role. So if you deviated from the typical male stereotype and something happened, there was no plan for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those people who falls through the cracks.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see how this case goes.
So Ruth presented the case in front of the bench, and at a unanimous 8-0 vote, with one justice who was out due to sickness, the court decided that widowers indeed were entitled to equal survivor benefits under the law.
Ruth,
very simple case, very clear
Ruth.
thing. I don't understand how it got all the way to the Supreme Court bench, but it seems like a no-brainer there.
It really does seem like a no-brainer, but I guess that's probably why it made it to the Supreme Court benches. Everybody's like, well, it makes sense, but it's not there was no precedent in the law.
Yeah. Craig v. Boren was another case that she presented. So, okay, this one came out of Oklahoma. The issue was that while women in Oklahoma could start buying 3.2 beer at the age of 18, men had to wait until they were 21.
Oh, okay. Before we go anywhere, I can already tell you how this law is weird. I mean, I think it's straightforward from today's point of view. It's really fucking weird. Why is it women, young girls, were allowed to drink before men?
Why do you think?
It's easier to prey on drunk young women?
I hadn't thought of that. I thought
I am a true crime fan. I went straight to true
probably
crime.
Yeah, and that's probably a big part of it. I was thinking more along the lines of like women are probably seen as more responsible at younger ages, or get married at 18 and have to buy beer for their husbands.
Maybe. I think the second part is probably the most, that would make more sense. Well, they have to do shopping for the home. And so they're going to need the ability to buy some form of alcohol for their husbands or fathers. Maybe. But I just immediately,
Yes.
I mean, obviously they didn't make the law because of what I said, but I see it would be harder to take the law down and change it. But I was probably off base. I think you might have a point there with buying beer for husbands or such.
I think you also had a point of like sexual assault is much easier on a drunk kid.
And it's like nobody was caring about that because boys will be boys.
Yeah.
Anyway, either of us could be
in Oklahoma.
Pulling
it
one
could
of the
have
right
been
strikes.
any and all of those things.
It could be something as dumb
it's
as
all of those shit.
They're more responsible.
It's Oklahoma. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
So the original plaintiff was a kid named Mark Walker. After he ironically died in a drunk driving accident, the case was carried on, and it was carried on by another kid named Curtis Craig and a liquor store owner named Carolyn Whitener.
I'm still stuck on the kid died in a drunk driving accident.
Yep.
And he wasn't even old enough to have alcohol. But for some reason, girls were?
Yeah, which was the point.
Interesting.
He was the one that brought the case before the court, but then he died in a drunk driving accident, so he couldn't continue it, but his buddy could.
So the young man wanted to party because girls could party.
The argument was that if a man at 18 was old enough to fight and die for his country, he was old enough to buy 3-2 beer.
Yeah.
In addition, the vendors argued that the loss of business by this necessitation of a third party drastically cut down on their potential earnings.
Makes sense. You're only
Think
selling to
of
half the population.
Profits that we're losing by this arbitrary law. So basically, they were upset about lost profits.
Obviously, money.
This ended up coupling with the Reed v. Reed decision to make the drinking age the same for men and women. And because some alcohol bureau threw a fit, it wasn't the age of 18, but 421.
Ah, so everybody had to wait now.
Yes.
So the argument of if he's old enough to
wait.
die in first country and get into fights, that still didn't have any bearing. They're like, no,
Exactly.
which I get it, but also don't. Like, if he's not old enough to drink, I am not sending him to war.
Well, too bad you don't make the decisions for this nation.
You know, I think it's a good thing, yeah, that I don't make any decisions for this nation.
So this was another case, again, of it doesn't actually make things easier to have this separated out or preferred one to the other. It's just way easier to have all the sexes equal and have equal lack of access until you're 21.
It makes more sense, yes.
Exactly. So her last oral argument before the Supreme Court bench was Duren v. Missouri.
Duren,
D-U-R-E-N.
All right.
So Duren was a man indicted for murder and robbery. The lawyers attempted to kill the case before it saw trial, and Missouri just so happened to have this glaring issue that they could address. You see, at the time, anyone over 65 could be exempted from serving their civil duty, which I get. You know, I'm too old.
Like jury duty and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I don't want to do that.
I don't know any 65-year-olds today making that choice.
You what?
Nobody over 65 is choosing to opt out.
Right. So, and it's long hours on a weary body, you know.
Right.
Let's figure this out. So the problem was that they also exempted women for apparently like no reason.
Oh.
Women could just get called to jury duty and then just not show up, and nobody said boo about it ever.
Oh my God.
Duren's lawyers said that this was unfair to Duren, who had, as a Sixth Amendment right, the right to a fair and impartial jury.
Exactly. And this leaves so much room for an impartial or a partial jury.
A jury of all men certainly didn't seem fair.
No.
It didn't work out in the way that he thought. The trial continued. He was convicted. But the lawyers appealed, and that was when Ruth got her hands on the case.
All right.
So at the end of her oral arguments for this one, Judge Rehnquist sighed and said, "Won't settle for putting Susan B. Anthony on the new dollar then?"
No.
Are you sure?
No. That has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about. How? I don't know where you're getting this idea. Where,
instead of us having to make these really hard gender decisions, you can't just like let us put a figurehead on the dollar bill and call it good.
No, because that's not going to fix anything.
But that's what we want to do. It would be so much easier for like everyone involved if you could just let us do that, you know?
Okay, but the right thing isn't always easy, and I'm not here to play small games.
Ruth stayed silent. She was like, she just stared at him, and she refused to answer the question. But later, she did say she considered responding, quote, "We won't settle for tokens."
True.
But she did keep her mouth shut. She didn't actually say that out loud.
I like that she went with a little punny. I won't settle for tokens.
Well, yeah,
it's essentially what Susan B. Anthony
on the dollar. Like, it literally would have been a token.
Yeah.
Ruth was starting to have higher aspirations for her life. She wanted to help serve at higher levels of law.
Yeah, because she's seen how incompetent it is.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So she was high. She wanted to help serve at the higher levels of law, and she interviewed to be the Solicitor General. The man she interviewed with, however, did not comfort her, and at the end of it, she realized that of all the applicants, she, the only woman and the only black man interviewing, didn't have a chance of getting that job.
So neither of them had a shot.
No.
Oh my God. I know it's the times and I should be, not surprised, but I still root for her. Oh yeah, ding, 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 and racist. And the racist thing in this one as well. Racist, racist, racist. Because I guarantee you, both she and this other man were more qualified than anybody else that was up for it, but they weren't going to be considered just for these two factors that had nothing to do with their ability to do the job.
Nevertheless, she
Ruth
persisted. And that's where we'll pick back up for part 2.
With her persistence, the rise to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
I'm inspired.
So, we're in the mid-70s. She has presented some cases before the Supreme Court bench. She has kicked some ass. And she has been dealing with Rehnquist and his misogynistic ass.
Yeah, his name frickin' rings a bell as well.
That's because that's the judge that Sandra Day O'Connor dated in college, and then and we talked about him in her episode.
Another one for the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is where we cross some paths.
Exactly.
Well, folks,
we're getting there.
Has been a motherfucking episode.
Yes, it has.
Thank
you guys for listening. If you enjoy what we got to offer, please like and subscribe. Every little bit counts. We would also love to hear from you.
Any reviews? Yeah. Just a review. Just a review. A little old, just click a star, whatever star feels right.
Even if it's to tell us that we suck and we're irreverent, like that one person from 2019.
We can use some feedback. We're open to that. We would love to make a show that you want to hear. So please let us know.
We have a bunch of socials. So we're on Well Behaved Women Podcast on Instagram. We're on Facebook.
We're on Reddit.
On Reddit, yeah.
Yep. We also have a Discord that I haven't been pushing. But we also want to let you guys know that you can tell us for suggestions. We're also looking for suggestions as well of anybody that maybe we haven't talked about that you've been waiting to hear about. We'll do it. You just talk to us. We're here.
I have books and I have a whole nice list on Discord, but there's nothing cooler than making that list longer. So
I know we love a list of suggestions. So thank you again so much for listening, and we will see you in our next episode.
This has been a fucking podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.